All right, we should be live now. What's up, ladies and gents? Ryan here. This is the DFS 5-pack. Go ahead and click that thumbs up button if you don't mind. We're going to do a kind of a members-only style video free to the public today. I got a very tight schedule. Bellman's got a very tight schedule. So one video free to everybody. I'm going to run through it really, really fast. Spent a while looking through the slate, though, so we can be very precise on what it is that we're looking at. Keep your eyes peeled for COVID protocols. As a Wisconsin sports fan, I just lost my quarterback and Chris Middleton of the Bucks. So, they're dropping like flies. They're out there left and right. Lauri Markkanen's out on the Cleveland Cavaliers. So just keep your eyes peeled for that information because you know how it works. If one hits, you usually get a few more. So speaking of those Cleveland Cavaliers, we got the first game of the night, which is going to be Portland against Cleveland. When we're looking at the Cleveland Cavaliers, Kevin Love is out. Now we're finding out that Lauri Markkanen is out. It's possible, as the day progresses, maybe people start talking about like Dean Wade or something, maybe. Not super enticed by it myself. Personally, I don't mind the two big men here. With Markkanen and Love out, you know that the minutes for Jared Allen and Evan Mobley have got to be very safe. These aren't like slam dunk cash game plays, but I think like Jared Allen is a great idea for like GPPs. But this is who Jared Allen is right here. He could definitely have a bigger role tonight. He also has 2 games in his past 3 where he's made 2 field goals on 3 attempts. So there's big lows and there's big rewards. Legit monster GPP value in 2 of 5. And in 3 times a season, 1, 2, 3 monster duds. So it's a risky play because his assertiveness and his aggressiveness is all over the place. But for you guys who look for big payouts, he could be your guy right there. Evan Mobley, I think he's been impressive so far. Probably not going to end up here, but I do think he's got a 40 burger in there coming up sometime soon. Moving over to the Portland side of things. It's nothing over here for me personally. I don't think Norman Powell's a terrible play, but I think we got better value with these guys brought up right here. Lillard has not been himself at this year. McCollum's over 8K. There's nothing from Portland I'm really looking to get to. Next up, let's talk about Toronto. So the big news on Toronto, Scotty Barnes remains out. This is why you're seeing Svi Mykhailiuk come in as one of the highest owned players on the slate. He's coming in hot, guys. 2 monster games back-to-back by his standards. Pretty good matchup with Washington right here. I think you slam him into your cash lineups. Flip side of that, he's probably over-owned for being Svi Mykhailiuk. So, it's a little bit of a risky GPP fade because he should be very popular. But I think there's every opportunity. This dude comes in, scores 15 DK points tonight. This is who we know who this guy is, right? If you've been playing DFS the last couple of years, you know who he is. He has no slam dunk to replicate these last 2 games. So I think he makes for a real intriguing GPP fade. I think you could do worse, though. There's a good chance he comes in and gives you 20 points tonight, and he's okay, one way or the other. So I think people are going to be looking at him. The other guy getting some love today from the Toronto Raptors, who are still without Pascal, although he'll be back sooner than later and no Barnes. It's going to be Gary Trent, coming off a monster game. We've seen him with 3 30-plus games in his last 4. We know he's capable. I think if you're starting a cash game lineup today, I think you could do a lot worse than starting with Mykhailiuk, Trent, and Beasley, and then filling in with your studs around him. OG having a nice year. He's a little pricey right now. We've seen GPP upside on this price. I don't think he's a slam dunk must play. They run the offense through him a lot these days. I look at him and Van Vliet very similarly. I think they're both fine. I don't think they make my ideal one lineup tonight, but I would completely understand if they made yours, if that makes sense. So Van Vliet has just not been consistent enough for me. And you can probably the same and go for OG. I think they're fine plays. I just probably won't end up there. So for here, I think it's Mykhailiuk and Gary Trent Jr. From the Washington side of things, they're pretty healthy right now. They're still missing Thomas Bryant and Rui Hachimura. So, you got Harold and Gafford right there. I have other centers I like better today, so I'm probably not getting either of them. I think it's a decent matchup. I think KCP is not the worst filler piece in the world, but I don't think I'll be getting to anybody on Washington tonight personally. All right, next up, taking at the Knicks, taking on Indiana. So the Knicks are going to have a bunch of guys. Indiana is a top-tier matchup. Games in Indiana should be a game. We brought up Kemba the other day. He was meh. Barrett has his moments. Derrick Rose ain't playing a ton of minutes. Fournier's in there. Randall's come back down to earth. They might get Taj back tonight. I like the spot for New York. I don't specifically like any of their players at 12:06 Central Standard Time. Now, if somebody's out, This could change things around a little bit. We got Taj and Noel questionable. But as it stands right now, I'm probably not getting anybody on the Knicks in an ideal lineup. And as far as Indiana goes, it sounds like Brogdon's going to play tonight. LeVert's in there, which in a tough matchup, only missing Jeremy Lamb and TJ Warren, who feels like he's been out forever. I'm not going to end up on anybody here either. All right. Next, we get to a very interesting game. You guys know my mantra. I think people overreact on narratives all the time. It's part of the media climate that we live in and stuff like that. I am intrigued by this one, though. Marcus Smart calling out Tatum and Jaylen Brown the other day. How is this going to affect the team going forward? I don't know. Could have major effects. It could have no effects. I'm curious to see how it breaks down. As far as the Boston guys go, look, let's go right back to Al Horford. He's been good to us this year. 38 to 44 in every game. He's always getting double-digit rebounds. He throws in about 3 assists a game. He's got the blocks and the steals working for him. He shoots a lot of threes for a guy his size, which, he's not Steph Curry number of threes, but he takes a good number of threes, so you got that working for you. Good matchup with Orlando. And Orlando's been fighting a lot lately, so I think this is going to be a game. You need his size tonight with Mo Bamba and Wendell Carter in there and everything like that. So I like Horford again. As far as the rest of the guys on Boston go, I'm talking, Dennis Schroeder, Marcus Smart, Brown, Tatum. I think they all have their place today. I don't know how they're going to play. I could see them rolling by 40. I could see them losing by 40. Gun to head, I think it's a close game, but I think this game is a little bit of a wild card. I don't know if Tatum and Brown make it a point to pass or if they make it a point to ball hog. I have no idea. I like Horford, wily veteran. He'll be in there doing his thing. I'm not playing Tatum at 10K today, but I get it if you feel like he's going to play hard. I also get why you think Schroeder and Smart might have a bigger role after that. We'll see. Give me a Horford team with a lot of good players. I don't have anybody specifically I'm looking for. You know who I love today? Embiid. I think he's going to be way too low owned. They rested him the other night. He gets a Chicago team that's better offensively than defensively. We know he can do whatever he wants against Vucevic. I like Embiid. So Embiid's a guy. All right, guys, I think I lost you for a second, but I'm back right now. Embiid's a guy that I like a lot, and he's a guy very much shortlisted for me. Shake Milton's price has risen. He wasn't great the other day. He's still kind of easing his way in. You could do worse for cap space. Probably won't end on there. The guy that's getting love from this team, though, is going to be Korkmaz. A lot of people used him as chalk the other day, and he was really good. So he's more expensive now. He's no lock for me, but I can see why you would get here. I don't know if you need the money. Like, I like Svi Mihajlovic just as much, if not more. I like Malik Beasley. You got Gary Trent. I don't think you're necessarily going to need it. I just don't think it's a bad play. You also got Seth Curry, who was he was awesome the other day. I think he gets a little bit ignored today. And they got no Tobias Harris, so Curry is their shooter now. I think Curry makes for an intriguing GPP play, and I do like Embiid a lot, as I've already said. Next up, Atlanta versus Brooklyn. It sounds like Trae Young and Bogdan are both probable, so don't overreact. I think Bogdanovich is a wonderful fill-in guy right here. Coming off, I think that's his best game of the season the other day. He's been consistently playing more minutes. I think he's got a bigger game coming. I think he's a fine fill-in with potential upside. I might like him even more if Collins is out. If Collins doesn't play, maybe Gallo. I could see as a nice fill-in guy. And for the time being, Capella's minutes are on the rise now. So I think he makes for an interesting play tonight because he should be able to dominate the paint as a much more athletic guy. So I think Capella is another center that's on my short list today. The problem is I like Embiid a lot. I like Capella a lot, and we haven't even gotten to Jonas Valanciunas yet. So I think Reddish, Herter, if any of these guys start coming out, they're interesting to look at. As far as Brooklyn goes, they're pricey now. Harden's been playing better, but he's over 10K. Durant's over 10K. I'm probably not getting any of these guys. And Atlanta is not the matchup they were a couple of years ago. I'm not saying they're the hardest team to play against, but they're definitely not the best. All right, Denver against Memphis. We just saw this game the other night. This is a different slate. We liked Jokic the other night because he plays a lot. He's now very expensive. I like the other center options better. I think Aaron Gordon, I called him out on one game earlier this year where he was bad. Other than that, 24 to 32 every day. Solid filler piece. Nothing more, nothing less. The upside and downside games are possible, but he's quietly consistent. I think he's a fine play. And then the other guy that he's going to go off one of these days is Michael Porter. And he's 1 for his last 15 from 3. This guy's a great shooter. I mean, buy low on him potentially. I mean, he doesn't make an ideal lineup, but I think you can buy low on him. And then as far as Memphis goes, their guys have all caught up in price. Melton, Bain are now fairly priced. Jaren Jackson Jr. is a guy that, keeps getting a little too much love. I mean, we've seen him with pretty good first 2 games, and he's been mostly a disappointment since. Perpetually in foul trouble. Always has that issue. Not dying to get there today. I think Steven Adams is a guy that he played bigger minutes the other day. He wasn't very quality in his points, but this is a guy that started the year with 33, 39, and 42. I talked about his minutes bump, and he got a price reduction. I think he makes for an intriguing GPP play as well. All right, let's move over to the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're a team heavily targeted tonight. Let's start with Malik Beasley. Malik Beasley can play. He's been playing well. D'Angelo Russell is out. Expect him to be potentially the chalkiest player on the slate. If I had to choose between Beasley and Svi Mihalik, give me Beasley. No questions about it. The other guys from the Wolves that are going to be popular, we're going to have to wait and see on Patrick Beverley, because as of right now, like McLaughlin, Vanderbilt, a couple of these guys are getting talked about. I don't think any of them are a must except Beasley. Towns will probably get a little bit too much love tonight as well. Give me Joel Embiid over Karl Anthony Towns. And then Anthony Edwards is a solid play tonight as well. But ultimately, it's Beasley for sure. And then we have to wait on the what we know about Patrick Beverley. Now, from the Clippers side of things, Batum. Brought him up the other day. He was blah in the game against Portland. Didn't make any threes. Lost 6 minutes approximately due to the blowout. He's been really good in the other games. It's a good matchup. I think this is another reason we can go stud heavy. Batum fills in really nicely right here. And, the point guards have been unimpressive. The guy that I think you have to look at who's not getting nearly enough love tonight is Paul George. Paul George has played 6 games this year. He's got 60-plus in 3 of them, 58 in the other. And then a bad game against Portland because they rolled and he didn't play in the fourth quarter. And a bad game against Cleveland when they played the worst game of the year. He shot 6 of 20, 0 of 8 from 3. He was awful. He's been good this year. You guys know I'm not a huge Paul George fan, but he's been fantastic. Not nearly enough love is going to Paul George today, especially if you're loaded up on those Timberwolves guys. All right, Dallas against San Antonio. Give me Paul George over Luka, just based on their appearances this year. I'm not saying at the end of the year Paul George is going to average more DFS points than Luka, but he's playing a lot better right now. Luka's another one of these guys, like new rules. Last game was the first time we saw him with a ton of free throw attempts all year. Maybe he's still getting used to the new rules and stuff like that. Only free throw attempts over 6 all season was last game. So give me Paul George over Luka. As far as the rest of the team goes, this is in the game for me. I'm not saying that I think it's the worst game we've ever seen, but I think everybody's appropriately priced. And there's probably nobody I'm going to use from this game. All right, I think the next game, I got 2 guys I like a lot, and they both come from Golden State, Steph Curry and Draymond Green. Let's take a look at these Charlotte scores right now. Charlotte is one of these teams still playing very high-scoring games, 129 to 140, 120 to 111, 99 to 114, 125, 113, 110 to 113. They are all offense, no defense. So they are loaded on offense. I'm not getting to anybody from Charlotte specifically because there's too many guys, but I like some Draymond Green and Steph Curry both a lot tonight. Give me Steph over Luka. Easy. All right, give me Steph in this situation. If you like the thing where his daddy played for Charlotte or, announces or whatever, fine, do whatever you want. For me, this is all about the fact that Charlotte is all offense and no defense. Curry has been taking astronomical amounts of threes, as you guys are well aware. He always does. I think he is, as long as this game is competitive, he's definitely dropping a minimum of 50 tonight. And I like Draymond Green a lot as well, because this is a game where they should score easily. I think Draymond is going to give you his first triple-double of the year tonight. Sadly, with him, I worry about the points more than the other statistical categories. So I like Draymond and I like Steph Curry quite a bit. And then moving over to the last game, got the Pelicans and Kings, who both played last night. Brandon Ingram is questionable. No matter what, I like Jonas. Jonas's biggest bugaboo was the minutes. They are not messing around with him in New Orleans. This guy has played 30 plus in every game this year. He's got 49 plus DK points in 5 of 6. We're not scared of the matchup. He dropped 50 on the Kings the other day. I think he's a really good center play. I like him a lot. The other guy from this game I can get on board with, I would say, is going to be Devontae Graham, who's a solid filler piece. I don't think you need him. I think he's a fine play. Play with or without him. On Sacramento, you guys know how much I love Rashawn Holmes. I think he's a solid play, but he probably won't be my priority tonight. I like Joel Embiid. I like Jonas Valanciunas. And I like the idea of a lower-owned Clint Capella, who saw a big-time minutes bump the other day. And this doesn't even take into account like Karl Anthony Towns or filler pieces over there. So if I'm making a lineup right now this morning, it might look something like this, like Curry, Svi, Beasley, Batum. I like Embiid right there. And that might be like my 5-pack if I was going to make one lineup. Where I go from there, we got plenty of options. Gary Trent's a guy that can fit in right here. Like, just off the top of my head. Gary Trent at guard. Horford at forward. And then where does that leave me with 4,500? This one I'd obviously be waiting on, and I'm probably going to change this lineup, but Steven Adams. I'm missing Jonas here. So that's already a problem, and I might have to make some moves based on that. Maybe you like the compliment. I like Embiid, but price considered, Valanciunas could easily be the better play. And then what would this get me? Holmes, Graham, Michael Porter, Wendell Carter. I mean, you got options down here. Kemba Walker. So plenty of places to go. I told you I'd keep it short and sweet to the point. Hopefully this works for everybody. If the internet quality wasn't the best, I apologize. I was kicked out of my conference room today, and I had to do this in my office. So the internet in this room just isn't nearly as good. So hopefully it was, I don't know, easy to follow along. Thank you, guys. Have a great Wednesday. Bellman will drop the write-up at the normal time, and I'll see you all tomorrow.